What's going on, guys? It's Fragger here again, and welcome back to another episode of Fragger Builds. And as you guys can probably guess, I did end up going to the end and fighting the Ender Dragon so that I could get an Elytra and a bunch of shulker boxes. So I'll play a little montage of me doing that right now. So I did end up dying once while fighting the Ender Dragon, which is a little bit unfortunate. It was the first death of this world, but I did end up getting all of my stuff back, so it really wasn't that big of a deal, and I still ended up killing the Ender Dragon anyway. But the main reason why I wanted to fight the Ender Dragon was for these guys, because I really wanted a bunch of shulker boxes. And I know most people probably go fight the Ender Dragon for an Elytra, but the main reason why I wanted to fight them was for these shulker boxes. But between episodes, I unfortunately did not start on the mountainside renovation here. I know I said I was going to, but I just never got around to it. I was way too busy fighting the Ender Dragon and working on my other video that came out last week that I put a lot of time and effort into. And if you have not seen that video, then make sure to go check that out. It is definitely the highest quality video I've made so far on the channel, and I think the video and the build as well turned out so good. I highly recommend you guys go check that one out. But anyway, getting into what this episode is going to be about, I am going to work a little bit more on this palace here, and I actually want to try and get it finished today, or at least the exterior. I want to get the exterior finished. I'm not sure if I'll get around to doing the interior today. Probably not, because this is going to be a lot of work here. But I did not do any changes to the plans yet. Like I said last time, I do want to increase the size of this dome and push it out a little bit more to the edge there. And I also want to split up this wing of the palace so that it's like one building here and then another building over here. And for these two buildings here, I want this one to be sort of like the main living quarters, and then this one over here will be sort of like a dining hall type thing. And I want this one to kind of be surrounded by a garden area. So I may have to do a little bit of terraforming and bring this land out a little bit more on both sides, which this one's going to be a little bit tricky because that just kind of goes into a straight drop off there. So I'll probably end up having to renovate this side of the mountain as well, unfortunately. But that is kind of what I want to go with. I'll probably get rid of these like balcony areas, and I may shorten this building a little bit too. I don't know if I want it this tall. I might make it the same height as that one because I want it to be a little bit smaller, and I may increase the height of this one. I'll probably make it 2 stories tall, maybe 3. I'm not sure yet. I'll get around to figuring that out all later. But the main build palette I want to use for this place is like sandstone and quartz, and the floors in here I want to use orange glazed terracotta, which I know sounds kind of weird. Most people don't really use glazed terracotta, to be honest with you, but I did do a test build of this dome room in creative, and I used orange glazed terracotta and it looked pretty good. So I think that's what I'm going to use for the floor in here. And for this main living area, I kind of want to make this out of terracotta and bricks, and maybe even put in a little bit of red sandstone in this build. And I also don't want to have a ton of windows Like in this one, I want it to be very similar to the houses down there, with windows that go from the floor to the ceiling and just let in a ton of light. That's kind of what I want to go with for this building and for the dining hall as well. But for this main living quarter, I think I want to keep it sort of more enclosed. And I also want to try and do for the floor probably chiseled sandstone, which is what I have for the floors in those ones. It's sort of like the sandstone brick texture. I just retextured it to that. But again, for like the walls and stuff, I might do like a terracotta slash brick slash red sandstone thing. And I'm probably not going to include the red sandstone right now because I am still working on the red sandstone texture and it is definitely not in a finished state yet. But anyway, that's enough talking about building up this place. Let's actually get into building this up, and I'll probably start off with this dome room and then meet you guys once I'm done building that up. Alright, so I am back, and unfortunately I did run out of copper for this dome roof, and it uses a ton of copper. This was maybe about 3 stacks of copper blocks, and it's probably about halfway finished. And I do still have about a stack of copper blocks down here oxidizing. So once those are fully oxidized, I will have another stack of blocks that I can use towards this. But I still am going to need some more copper, and this stair is all that I have left, so I am basically out of copper. So I'll do a little more mining off camera, but not right now, to finish up that roof. But overall, I'm actually pretty happy with how this little room turned out, this building here. And once this dome is finished, I think it's going to look really good, and I like the fact that it overlooks like basically everything here. It overlooks that plains biome there, and then where the rest of the city is going to go over there, and the current part of the city that we're working on here. And I do think I want to have a little bit of a garden area coming around, pretty much all the way around this little building here. So I will have to do a little bit of terraforming, which there's going to be a lot of terraforming that needs to get done, and I'm not looking forward to it at all. It is going to be a very massive project doing all of this terraforming. Again, I do need to do the side of that mountain right there. Then I need to add a little bit of a garden area around here, and then there's the entire side of the mountain over there that I also need to get done. It's gonna be a lot of work, and I'm not really looking forward to it. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this building here, other than finishing up the roof. So moving on to these other buildings, I still have not adjusted the plan yet for these ones. I will get around to doing that before I start building them. But for this building, I kind of want it to be a little bit older looking, especially compared to these ones. I want these ones to look a lot newer looking, kind of like that. But for this building here, which is, again, going to be sort of like the living quarters where there'll be a kitchen and like bedrooms and stuff like that for the higher ups to stay in, I want this one to look like it's been here for a while. Sort of like one of the oldest buildings in the city. So that's why I kind of want to go with terracotta and bricks and red sandstone for this one. But I also think I'm not going to use quartz, which I have used quartz for the corners here on pretty much all of these buildings, But for this one, I think I'm going to shy away from that and use maybe something like spruce logs or oak logs or something like that for the corner posts to make it look a little bit older. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm definitely not 100% sold on that idea, but I think it might turn out pretty good, hopefully. But anyway, I'm going to get working on building up this part of the palace, and then I'll meet you guys once I'm done doing that. So I am back, and this thing is not finished yet, and I know you guys probably think it doesn't look super great right now, but I just wanted to get a basic layout for this so that I could kind of see what it looked like and what I was going for, and honestly, I think it looks pretty good. It looks a lot like a fort, a lot more like a fort than a palace, and that's kind of what I was going with. So because of that, I may start calling it a fort instead of a palace. I'm not sure yet. There's still a lot of it that is going to be like a palace, like this room and the dining hall, but in general this really feels more like a fort. But anyway, there's still a lot left that I need to do with it. I still need to do all of the texturing, and I also need to do the roof and add a few extra little finishing details. And I do need to bring this down and make it conform a little bit to the terrain, and maybe bring the terrain up a little bit here as well. So there's still a lot of work left on that. And for the texturing, I think I'm just going to stick with bricks and not really use red sandstone. I know I said I was going to use red sandstone, and I did collect a lot of red sandstone. That's terracotta, as you can see, and the texture obviously is not finished. I still need to work on that, but I don't think I'm going to use red sandstone for this one. I may still use it after redoing the texture, depending on what it looks like with the terracotta, but for right now I think I'm going to leave it out and just stick with the bricks, which I have some down there, I'm pretty sure. So I'll do that in a bit. And I also want to use some of this dripstone, potentially. I just want to try it out and see what it looks like. But where I want to use it is sort of like where there's going to be lots of water running off. So it looks kind of like there's been a lot of buildup of water and stuff that has just been running down the side of this fort here. So like maybe like right there, because there would be water running off there, maybe between these two as well, like right here. So maybe something a little bit like that. I'm not entirely sure if I'm sold on that yet, but I do think this looks like a very grimy block, especially compared to this terracotta, and I think it could actually look really good doing that. So I do want to try it out and see what it looks like, but I think this is just too small of a sample size to make a decision on right now. But that's generally what I want to use it for, and I don't have a ton of this stuff, but I do have a dripstone farm on the other side of the hill there on the ground down there, but it is very slow, so I may have to go out and get some more dripstone. I'm not sure yet. I could always just take apart that dripstone farm because it does have like 2 stacks of these dripstone blocks in it, so that would get me a lot of dripstone. But anyway, that's enough talking about this thing. I've got a pretty good start on it so far, and I just have to do texturing and the roof and a few other little details. And then once I'm done with that, we can start working on this little dining hall area here, and we also need to connect our little buildings together with pathways, which I still haven't done yet. So I'm going to get work on finishing up this guy, and then I'll meet you guys once I'm done with that. Okay, so I haven't finished it yet, but I just wanted to come back and show you guys how the texturing looks, and I think it looks amazing. It looks so much better with the texturing in place, and I really like the dripstone. I think I'm gonna keep it. Some of it looks kind of awkward, like right there, but I still think it looks it still looks fine. But I have completely run out of dripstone, and I do have a dripstone farm right there that is getting me more dripstone, so I can use that to finish up the texturing. But anyway, I'm going to get back to working on that little fort up there, and then I'll come back to you guys once I have finished it. So this place is basically done. There's still a few little details that I have left to add to it, but in general, it's basically finished. I've done all the texturing, I've added the roof to it, and I did do a little bit of terraforming here, as you can see, and I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. And I do want to continue that terraforming down there along this cliffside here, because the pathway is overhanging it a little bit, and I think it would look a lot better having it kind of curve around this little cliffside here. So I did actually do the little dining hall here, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I did want to make it very similar to these houses down here, which is why it's the same build palette, same general style, same basic everything, and it does have a copper roof, which some of it still needs to oxidize. I did mix in some fully oxidized blocks in there because I found out with this dome that it does actually make the oxidization process go a little bit faster. And speaking of this dome, I did actually finish it. I did get enough copper to finish it, and I also got barely enough copper to finish that. I literally only have like maybe 20 copper ingots left, and that is literally all the copper that I have. So I do need to get some more of that. But anyway, for this little fort place here, I still don't know what I'm gonna call this area. I don't know. It's very similar to a palace with these two buildings, but this building is also very similar to a fort, so I'm not exactly sure what I want to call it yet. Anyway, the floors in here I want to change out. I'm not really feeling this sandstone texture. It's just, it clashes or contrasts too much. I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. I might retexture it to like a red sandstone maybe, but I was also thinking I might retexture one of the glazed terracotta textures to look sort of like a white and black tile. I think that would look really good for, not sure where you came from. Anyway, as I was saying, I think it would look pretty good for the kitchen area, which I do want this to be the kitchen area right here, which is why I don't have any windows here and I've kind of sectioned it off from everything else. But I was also thinking of maybe doing quartz. It would be a lot of quartz, and I would need to go back and get some more because I've turned all of my quartz into pillars. This is all the quartz that I have. So I may not do that. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, like I said, this is going to be the kitchen area right here, and as for the rest of this little fort area, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for this area. I might just do like a little hallway going to this staircase here and then also going to this little dining hall area. But I may also try to make some sort of living area. I'm not entirely sure yet. But anyway, coming up to the second floor here, I want this to be more of like bedrooms. So I do want to have at least 2 bedrooms up here. I may make 3. I may turn this area into a bedroom, or I may just make this like a sitting room. I'm not sure. And I do want to get at least 2 bedrooms in this area, and I'll probably have a little bit of a hallway going through here, and then the bedrooms will start over here. And I'm not sure where I'm going to section it off yet, because this is going to look really weird if I move the window over or just completely get rid of it altogether. Honestly, it might not look too bad if I get rid of it, but I do kind of want to keep it here. I don't know. I'll figure all of that out later where I want to section off the different bedrooms, but that is the general plan for this area up here. And then this is where that tower is right here that goes all the way up, and you can only access it from the bottom floor. So if you want to get to the second floor or the roof area up here, you have to use this staircase, which is just another tower. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I definitely hate the sandstone texture for the roof here. I am 100% replacing this with something else. It looks so bad on the roof, but everywhere else it looks just kind of alright, so I'll probably replace it everywhere else. I also did start a little bit of terraforming here to get the garden area around this dining hall, and I'm pretty happy with what I have so far. It doesn't look too bad, but I don't know, I haven't extended it all the way down to the ground yet, so it does have a ways to go, and I think it'll look a lot better once I finish that. But I have not started on this side yet, and I am not looking forward to starting this side, because I am going to have to go all the way to the bottom there, and that is definitely a couple hundred, well, I don't know if I would say a couple hundred, but it's probably about 100 blocks to the bottom there. How far up are we? We are 160 blocks up here. So that's probably around Y60 to Y70. So yeah, it is probably about 100 blocks. That's going to be a lot of work. Not really looking forward to it. Anyway, my plan for accessing this little palace here is to have the pathway come down here and then curve around the mountain here and then end up about there, and then from here we'll connect it up to the rest of the city there. And then I also want to have part of the pathway split off a little bit further back here, a little bit closer to where it starts, so about there, and then come down here. And then down here, I want to have a little bit of a courtyard. And I would make this part of the city, but I think it would honestly look much better as a courtyard for this little campus here, for the palace campus. And honestly, outside of just like adding more houses and shops, I don't know what I would really do here if I did make it part of the city. So I think it's going to be best if I just make that a little courtyard and have a garden area down there. But anyway, that is pretty much it for the exterior of this little palace area. I do need to do a little bit more terraforming, but other than that, the main structures are basically finished. All that I have left to do is the interior, and I don't really have any more time today to continue that interior, so I'll start that in the next episode most likely. But that is going to be it for this episode of Fragger Builds. So if you did enjoy this one, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. And if you have any suggestions for this series or any other series on my channel, then make sure to leave those down in the comment section below. And if you guys want to interact with me or my community outside of YouTube, then make sure to join my Discord server linked down in the description. But anyway, that's all I have planned for today, so as always, don't forget to keep building.